Hello, hello, hello. FIFA Club World Cup podcast coming at you, as always, on this wonderful Sunday morning with myself, Gary Stryker, and the Qooligan. Qooligan. We have had a day off because we have both been traveling and bouncing around the country. Yeah. So this is going to be, so we have quite a bit to catch up on, some games. We both went to some games, and then obviously we've both been watching a lot of games, and we've been doing a little bit of traveling. I am back in Texas. You are still on the East Coast, and then we're going to be crossing paths. I think you come back on Wednesday, and then on Friday I head back to the East Coast. So it's been a fun process so far. So
I had a lovely time driving through the Blue Ridge Mountains between Tennessee and North Carolina. That was fun.
Yes.
Let's just say that South Carolina drivers do not understand the concept of a pullout. They just don't understand. Get out of the way.
Wow.
But other than that, it was I got to say, beautiful part of the world. Lovely
wonderful.
Country.
Well done. Wonderful.
Twisty roads.
Yeah, twisty roads. Okay, so we have a lot of games to cover up. Obviously, there was so the last time we called when we had Michael from the Benfica podcast, then we obviously had the Benfica matches and then yesterday's matches as well. So let's try and just catch up on some of the highlights and narratives of those. So I think Benfica Auckland, it was 6-0. Nothing to say. Yeah, unfortunately, I get it. It was. We called this.
The highlight of that match was Auckland only conceding. The highlight of that match was actually their goalkeeper, the young kid, because hold on, I've got it right here. That goalkeeper was fantastic.
Yeah, he had a game, right?
If he does not come out of this tournament with a contract, Nathan Garrow was his name, 20-year-old, full-time university student.
Amazing.
Full-time university student. Amazing. That's what he does. Oh, amazing. What are you doing for your break? I'm just going to go over to the United States and save like 10 shots in the first half. I mean, 6 went in.
Yeah.
But they had 32 shots.
Yeah. So
they had 32 shots in total. They had 16 on frame, which means that he saved 10. Anytime a goalkeeper makes 10 saves in a match, that is remarkable.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. And I'm hoping that somebody sits up, takes notice, and says, "Hey, this might be a good candidate to bring over for our program."
As we've said, for sure. As we said, there's definitely going to be some young players who are going to get moves out of this and get no assist as well, right? They are.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, and then I agree. Yeah, that was again Auckland. Hopefully, they can just score a goal. They've obviously got one more game.
All I'm hoping for one goal, baby. Just one goal.
Good. Score one
Come
goal.
on.
Yes. Speaking of goals and own goals and shooting themselves in the foot, Chelsea against Flamengo. Oh my God! I don't know if you saw this one.
I just have to remind you of your country's motto, Gary.
Thank you.
Keep calm. Carry on.
You're going to have to. There's nothing else you can do. Is there?
Moving on.
Nothing else you can do. They really can. Chelsea looked as though they were getting ahead of it. Great counterattack by Pedro Neto. And then all of a sudden, Maresca decides to shake it up and take off Delap and then bring on Nicholas Jackson. Then he gets sent off sort of within 10 minutes of being on the field. And then Flamenco just had the man advantage. And again, these Flamenco. Now, there is this incredible narrative. Brazilian teams, 4 of them, still yet to lose a game. Every single Brazilian team are currently sitting top of their groups. This is really, really fascinating. This is not a freak. This is not a fluke. This is a real interesting. It actually brings the conversation, because it's always the case of the young Brazilian players. They get plucked. They go to Europe because the money's there, and obviously they go and sort of through the various teams. And then there's always a question: are these Brazilians good enough to play in the European leagues, in the Champions Leagues, in the Premier Leagues? Obviously, Brazil has produced some incredible players. What this has shown, though, is it doesn't matter about the actual players. It's about the system, right? Because the European style is very different to the Brazilian style. So it's a question and a challenge of like styles of soccer going against each other. And what it's saying at the moment is that the Brazilian style of soccer seems to be the more potent one and the more effective one. That seems to be what we're seeing in terms of the results that we've seen now. Admittedly, there have not been huge matchups. We're still going to have to see sort of like, I'd like to see Palmeiras against a Real Madrid, for example, and some of those other bigger teams as well. And Bayern Munich as well. I was at that Boca game, and Bayern Munich are just a ruthlessly efficient German machine. So there is still bigger challenges down the road. But so far, the Brazilian teams have been really, really impressive with their commitment and their ability to just hold on and then turn results around even when they've been losing.
I agree. And I also want to mention that the South American teams are right now in the middle of their season. as opposed to all of the European sides and most of the Asian Confederation sides, which are at the end of their season. And I do not think that should be discounted.
Agreed.
Real Madrid played 61 games before coming into this tournament. Botafogo and some of the rest. Hold on one second, because I have a telephone call coming in.
Very professional. Very professional. There we go. It was perhaps the agents.
And now that telephone call has been pushed aside, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not in my own home, and things are ringing that I do not expect.
It's the agent of that Auckland
keeper. To get
keeper.
back to the matter at hand, the Brazilian sides have all played somewhere in the range of 29 to 32 games prior to this tournament. That's a big discrepancy. Because it means that the Brazilian teams are coming
into form
with a cadence of having played. There's no disruption in what they've done, whereas the European teams have gone through this grind of a season, sometimes this grind of tournaments, and then a little pause, a relocation to a whole new place, humidity, different food, different surfaces, and they've got to make some adjustments. And I think the South American teams have proven more resilient to those changes, to those disruptions, as well as playing a different system that seems to work really, really well with this type of tournament football. Once we get to elimination games, I think, and we see these head-to-head matchups with these Brazilian giants, and whichever giants make it through to the next round, and it's still not clear, although we know Bayern will be there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's where I think a lot of this narrative really starts to come into play. Who can dig in the deepest and pull out these wins?
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I have to admit, there are a number of fascinating storylines that are coming out of this Club World Cup. The dominance of the Brazilian clubs is certainly one of them. And then the other one, which we'll get into, is the overall incredible quality of the games and the exciting nature of all of these games. I mean, in the 8 games that we're covering about today, there were last minute victories, there was drama, and you and I were both at one of those games, and we'll talk about the incredible atmosphere that the Club World Cup is bringing and that these games are bringing in. So where were we? We crossed over Auckland.
Well,
what's our next game?
Well, the next game as well. So I think, so we touched on the Flamengo Chelsea game, and then obviously about the Brazilian, just the quality that we're seeing from the Brazilians. And it is a valid point about just sort of, where they are in the seasons, and you can understand their tiredness. But again, what
happened with Nicholas Jackson? Because I turned on the game, and all I saw was a super dejected Jackson,
he lost his head
along the touch line towards the lockers.
It was a loose ball in the middle of the field. He just went in too hard with his studs down, and it was a referee gave him a red card straight away. There was no chance of VAR, and as basically he was trying to protest it. You looked at the replay, and it's like, what were you doing? What are you thinking? And the concerning thing is, if you recall, on the Chelsea game in the end of the season, he got some stupid red card as well. So I think this is his second red card in 3 games. And so he's, again, he suspended himself. He's out for 3 games because it's a straight red as well. He's just handed the number 9 position to Delap, who then gets to obviously carry on. So he screwed himself. He really has, and he's let his team down as well. And he did a mea culpa on socials and posted how I'm sorry and I apologize. But again, as a Chelsea fan, he's done this. This is twice now that he's done this as well. Okay. Plus all of the opportunities he's missed. I'm sort of falling out of love with him rapidly as well, just with these actions, I have to say. So, anyway, speaking, just going back to sort of the more positive thing. So the other game that we had was LAFC against Tunis, and you were at this game. So it was a 1-0. LAFC unfortunately got knocked out and obviously confirmed them. And I think it's Youssef Ali scored on the 70th minute.
He did.
But talk to me about sort of the atmosphere, sort of the crowd, the fans. How was that?
One, Judas Stadium in Nashville is an absolute cathedral to soccer. It is a gorgeous soccer-specific stadium, and the largest soccer-specific stadium in the United States, I believe. I'm not sure about TQL. TQL, I don't know if that's just soccer-specific, but what an atmosphere. Beautiful location, easy to navigate, super easy to get in and out. And that place was absolutely festooned in red and gold. There were 13,600 in attendance, which is pretty good for a 5 p.m. Friday game in a city where there are no native fans. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd say that at least 9,000 of them were Tunisian fans.
Okay. Wow.
I didn't see an LAFC fan for the first 20 minutes when I was walking around the periphery.
Yeah.
Where I was walking in, it was all Tunisian, all red and gold.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, you're hearing Arabic, French, English, a polyglot of languages, Spanish, because I'll tell you something, large number of Leon fans. I was in the section of Leon fans.
Second game
all green in my section. And me repping this. And so I was having real big chats with a lot of the Leon people who were obviously upset. Some extraordinarily creative T-shirts villainizing Mr. Infantino. I'll just leave it at that. You can go to the website and check the upcoming article if you want to see that picture, ladies and gentlemen, because I will be sharing it there. But as a game goes, this was, I thought, a truly interesting clash of cultures. So the Tunisians play a very stolid, very defensive-minded, quick counter type of play. And they're good at it. They're very, very good at it. They were kind of dull in their first game, but they were not dull in this one. They came out, scored 2 quick goals, got them called back. Or no, sorry. Esperance hit 2 shots, 1 shot off the post, 2 shots saved by Lloris very early on. Then LAFC took over. Got 2 goals, called back for offsides. Then the game just kind of became back and forth. The turning points were, you mentioned Bel Ali. So in addition to him scoring that 1 goal, he also earned a penalty that was then later rescinded, and he got a yellow card for simulation because the referee went to the VAR
and saw
there was no contact, and he went down, and I was on the opposite side, and I'm looking at the guy next to me, and I said, he just pulled an Arjen Robben, right? Yeah. Which is that great moment against Mexico in the World Cup, I think in 2012, where the Mexican defender left a trailing leg out, and Arjen Robben just shifted his line and then just tripped over the guy's leg to get the penalty kick. I was like, that's exactly what he did. What a classic move. Turns out he didn't. He cheated.
He just went over it. Yeah. Well, that's, again, it's really good to see the refereeing and the caliber as well of the rule enforcement here as well. And again, I think we discussed this before. This ref cam, I think what it done is the best thing is it's not only giving you another view on the pitch as a fan, but it also is what I think gives you a lot more empathy to the referees and let you understand how difficult their job really is, right?
It's true.
It's been fantastic.
But then so they go up. It's great. There's 7 minutes of stoppage time given into this game. In the 98th minute, this is literally the last play of the game. Referee's about to put the whistle to his mouth to blow the game. There was a little scrum in the box, and all of a sudden he stops. He puts his head on his ear, and everybody freezes. And then the sign goes, VAR, potential penalty check.
Oh my God.
And they send him over to the monitor, right? They send him over to the monitor. In the 98th minute, he takes about a minute and a half. He looks at it. He comes out, and clear as day, he said, number 38 makes a careless challenge in the box. Final result is penalty kick. It is now the 11th minute of stoppage time, and he's setting up the kick. This is to tie the match up. LAFC's lifeline. The LAFC bench is right there. Denny Bwanga steps up. And Saeed, the goalkeeper, saves it.
Saved, yeah.
Not only does he save it, he saves it and parries it out for a throw-in. And that was it.
What a game.
And I have seen many moments, Gary, and there was very little to compare to that. And even though I was not in the Tunisian side, it was magic. And a big win for Tunisia. The fans were dancing 30 minutes after the win. They were still dancing in the concourse. They were doing a whole circle in the concourse, and it was unbelievable.
There's been a real theme here, hasn't it? Some of these fans that you wouldn't have necessarily expected or even anticipated, right? I mean, it's
generational fans. I saw three generations.
Oh yeah,
old, 80-year-old men wearing like vintage Esperance outfits. With their children and then their grandchildren there.
This is the love of the beautiful game, isn't it? Yeah, it really is.
Stunning.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It was stunning.
I mean, and speaking of fans and atmospheres, so while you're out there game, I went to the following game. Obviously, I was at the Boca Bayern game at Hard Rock. And again, I don't know if you've seen some of the videos or the images, and I know I shared some with you as well, but that place, I've been to some major tournaments. I've been to some major matches. That was definitely up there with one of the best atmospheres I've ever been into as well. The acoustics in Hard Rock Stadium are fantastic. They really are. And just those Boca fans, it was probably 90% Boca fans. There was a few little red pockets of Bayern fans around the place.
Germans just clapping politely.
It was just, and you could see like the gap in class is market, right? Bayern were a far superior team, but the atmosphere, you could see they were definitely acting as a 12th man. The energy, the dancing, and even when Boca went 1-0 down, they stepped up. Harry Kane managed to sort of get a classic striker's tap in as well, which was pretty good. They did have a goal disallowed, and then Boca came back with this counter attack and then managed to get through. And honestly, as they were running through and they scored, this place just exploded. Mm-hmm. There must have been 65 plus thousand fans just going absolutely nuts. The whole place, they're all dancing, they're all singing Boca, Boca, Boca. And then of course Bayern came back. They got 2-1 up, and then, as you say, similar to your situation, even 30 minutes after the game, we're still trying to get out of the traffic and get through it all and fight through all the concourse and everything. These Boca fans are still singing. They've just lost. They've just been beaten. They're probably going to. There's a possibility that they're going out. They did not care. They were still singing and still supporting. And just the Boca fans, I think, definitely. I think we've probably got an article or two coming out just dedicated to like which groups of fans have been the most impressive and the most committed and the most supporting.
I'm right now. I got a short list. Of 4. Right, yeah. Your Boca fans, my Esperance fans, those Urawa Red Diamond fans were magic. In that game. Well, we'll talk about that game, and what a shame that Urawa is going to go home.
They're out. Yeah,
but that group, phenomenal.
Yeah,
and then Wydad, and you'll see them today. If you watch that game, that Wydad game, they are.
Big game. Yeah,
and on the Esperance fans that I was talking to, they asked me. They said, "So, what do you think of our fans?" I'm in the midst of the celebration, and I'm talking to a newlywed couple who are there with a Tunisian flag jumping up and down. And I said, I can't. I said, your Esperance fans are amazing. You're some of the best. I said, Wydad are also good. He looked at me, and I thought he was going to get upset, and he goes, of course. All North African fans are the best fans, regardless of country. And I went, okay, good. Dodged a bullet. We're going to move on here.
Brilliant. Magic. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. So that sort of, obviously gets there. And then just going into some of the games yesterday, I know we've got quite a bit to cover. So, I mean, I think your Sundowns, again, we keep saying your Sundowns in Tunis as well. I mean, they were... Yeah, I mean, that was a really, really close game. Obviously, Dortmund winning 4-3. I think the Sundowns to come back here, and even though they did lose as well, they're still sitting. I mean, they're in third place as well in the group. And
they have a chance.
And Dortmund, they have a chance. It's not looking.
They've got to beat Chelsea, though.
No. No. We're talking about Sundowns. No.
Sundowns. Who are they playing next?
They're playing. I think they're playing Fluminense.
That's gonna be tough.
Yeah. The Brazilian team still yet to use as well,
right.
so that's going to be tough. No.
Yes.
You're getting a Flamengo Q stuff. There's too many Brazilian teams in this tournament. Well, not too many. There's a lot of them.
Too many with F names. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah. So that's why, of course, I confused it with Chelsea. I mean, that was my bad.
Yes. Well, the only other thing that came out of this, which was also an interesting one, is I don't know if you saw this. The Borussia Dortmund bench watched the game from inside the changing room because in Cincinnati at the time of the game, it was 87 degrees. And in Celsius, that's 30.5 Celsius. Now, I'm not saying it's cold, but again, we've talked about this before about the weather effect as well. Like these Germans don't travel well, don't play well in these hot weathers. And I appreciate, it is hot, but it just shows they are struggling, and that weather factor is going to continue to be an issue as well.
I think it was 30. It was almost 31 degrees at Nashville when on at kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, 90 degrees.
Once the shade hit the field, it was a little bit more tolerable. But it was hot. Not as hot as Nashville can usually get, but it was pretty toasty. Yeah,
it gets up there. Yeah, and then some of the other games as well. And Inter against the Red Diamonds. I mean, this was just, it felt cruel for the Red Diamonds. Hey, I have to say,
it was cruel. It was. There were, in those 3 games that were played yesterday, Mamelodi, Borussia, Inter, Urawa, and Fluminense Ulsan, there was a lot of cruelty in all 3 of those games. I'm not going to say that the wins were undeserved, because they scored. If you score, you win. But that when Inter got that, when they got that final goal, I just was like, God, I was just like, damn it. Because I like Urawa's, I like their mojo. I like their fans' mojo, particularly. Yeah. What a dynamic group, and so well coordinated.
Yeah, there's just the bouncing crowd as well, just jumping up
everything
and down.
About what they do. It's like,
they look fun.
We're gonna miss, and that's not to say that Inter don't have good fans, but they're not at that same. They're not quite at that same level.
Yeah,
maybe they'd be like that for knockout phases, but yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. And fair play to Inter. They held tight, and they did what they had to do. Ulsan, as a game, that was shocking. The turnaround when Ulsan snatched those 2 goals in the last 5 minutes of the first half, and at least the commentators were fair. Because during the match, they were saying, this is terrible. Like, what is Ulsan doing? They're literally just sitting there, parking the bus, low block, absorb. They're like, this is the worst soccer we've ever seen. And then they come out, scored 2 goals, and they went, may have to rethink our commentary on that, because they just came out. They had 2 shots. The whole game in the first half, and both of them went in.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. But of course, Fluminense then,
just the Brazilian wave came back.
The coach was probably just tearing them a new one, but also said, you're a better team. Play your game and you'll win. And they did.
They did,
right? Because you can't defend for 90 minutes against Brazilian teams and allow them opportunities, because they'll
get you on the counter attack.
They'll get you in the end.
Yeah, they will.
They always will.
Yeah. That is the one thing I have noticed with the sort of perceived lesser teams, is they have had trouble putting the ball in the back of their net. And I know that's not a particularly profound statement, obviously, but the better strikers go to the better teams, obviously. But they've again, there have been a lot of these games where there's been drive, there's been positioning, they've been able to get there, and it's just kind of crumbled in the last third, and that has been their downfall, which has been quite unfortunate.
I'm looking at the stats. Fluminense had 25 shot attempts, and they had 8 of those on goal.
Yeah. So some of those are going to go in.
I mean, that'll do. And again, that keeper, the keeper for Ulsan is being touted as a potential move, and he's very, very good.
I'm sure. Okay. And then I think the final game, obviously, that last game last night as well. I think this is probably the worst game of the tournament so far. River Plate against Monterrey.
This is where all the good, all of our talking about how good the games were, because kind of like stubs their toe on the curb and then splat right on the concrete.
Yeah. Oh my God. I watched this really for 2 reasons. Number one, obviously, to see Sergio Ramos be Sergio Ramos, which is absolutely the case. But also as well, I was really fascinated in this young River Plate star, Franco Mastruntiano, I think I'm butchering his name as well, but this young 17-year-old who Real Madrid have picked up.
Perfectly acceptable.
Franco, yeah. Well, he's going to the Spanish capital. Obviously, he signed for Real Madrid as well. They've put him and then loaned it back.
He's a real deal.
He looks good. Again, he's 17. He looked a lot older than 17, right? When I say looking just in terms of the maturity of his play, he looked very, very good. But that being said, this was like watching 2 drunk pub teams play against each other. It was just not a good spectacle at all. No, it really wasn't. No. Lots of stupid ticky-tacky fouls. The referee was blowing up as well. There were a crazy amount of fouls. Here's an interesting fact as well. River Plate have now picked up so many yellow cards through the first 2 games that for next game, their entire starting midfield that started for this game is suspended. is suspended. Yeah, their entire starting midfield, right? So they had who is it? They had Castaño obviously was sent off as well, but yeah, then Perez got a yellow card. He's suspended. Galoppo got a yellow card as well.
God.
And then from the previous games they all got booked as well. So they're all out as well. So River Plate are going to have to. I mean, I know they're sitting at the top of the group, so they should be okay against Inter. Monterrey, they could still sneak it through, but River have got a disciplinary problem as well, and they've got to try and get through as well for sure.
No, I really thought Franco was, without a doubt, the brightest part of the River Plate team. I mean, every time he got the ball, he was either hacked down or he did some really good creative stuff. And he had that one shot that almost made it into the corner, and the keeper tracked back, smartly and poked it out. But I mean, yeah. Well done, Real, to get him signed. Well, because I think his stock will rise.
Well, the price will go up as well, right? Yeah, this is some players are absolutely going to do that as well.
And also good on River Plate. One part of their condition for selling him was also that he had to play in this tournament.
He had to play it as well. Yeah, so they had to
in River Plate colors, not Real colors. Yeah. To be clear.
So, yeah. And so speaking of then just moving on, obviously, to today's games as well going forward. First game of the day is we have Juventus against Wydad against Casablanca. This one, you'd think Juventus are probably going to have sort of enough to sort of be able to get through here as well. I don't think they're going to be sort of too concerned. Wydad obviously sort of, took a bit of a hiding not a bit of a hiding. They lost 2-0 to Man City as well. So you'd expect Juventus and Man City to comfortably get out of this group. So you'd think Juventus will probably win this one.
Yeah, I'd say that's. Yeah, but let's see what the 12th man does.
Yeah, this is true. Exactly, the fans will be there, ready for them as well.
Will be there.
I don't think the old lady of Juventus will have a huge supporter base, but yes, the game after that.
And also, that is going to be at noon in Philadelphia.
There we go. Okay. Temperature, weather factor. Okay, there's Casablancans, those North Africans can handle it. Yeah, those North Africans will handle it. Yep, that's it. Okay, and then the next game we've got Real Madrid against Pachuca. Real Madrid, obviously, I was at that game against Al Hilal. They did not look convincing. I know Xabi Alonso's first game as well. They need to come out of the blocks here and they need to put on a win here. If they get a draw here or they don't get anything but a result, this is going to cause some concerns in Real Madrid as well. I'll be interested to see how El Trento plays. Unfortunately, it looks like Kylian Mbappe has got gastroenteritis as well. He's
still,
wow. He's out. So no, he's out. Welcome to American food as well. Welcome to the food, to the food system here as well. It got him. It's a little bit different than it is in Madrid or in France as well. So he's out, unfortunately. So I imagine their young kid as well. They have a young, I can't remember his name, Garcia, I think his surname was.
Do not eat gas station croissants, Killian.
Don't go there. I-95 gas stations. Yeah, a little bit different, hey? And then moving forward, then the other games as well we have.
But also, so they're playing in Charlotte, right? So they're playing 2 hours down the road from where I am. And I'm not able to go to the game because it is sold out. That game is sold out. I think that's going to be the second sellout of the second sellout of the Club World Cup. But yeah, it's looking to be 90. It will be 91 degrees.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah,
and with the heat index, will push it to nearly 9,800 degrees.
So, and Pachuca are probably more comfortable in those kind of conditions versus Real, right?
I know Real they're from the Highlands. They're from the Mexican Highlands. They live at 5,000, 6,000 feet. So it gets hot.
Yeah,
but they don't have that humidity.
They
do not have humidity.
It will always be a condition. The weather factor always plays a role.
I'm expecting a bunch of punch drunk, slow football.
It's going to be a slow, sticky game as well. Well, again, and I'm just thinking of the two English boys in the Real team, obviously Trent and Jude, right? That's not English weather. That is not they're from Liverpool and Birmingham, right? Believe me, they don't experience those conditions, so they'll see.
But speaking of Jude, younger brother Job made it with Borussia, scored his first goal on his first start for Borussia Dortmund.
And got superior player of the match as well. Yes, he did. Yeah, I was just thinking that as well. We did overlook that part. I think it was just more the fact that
he got a chant. They resurrected
Hey Job.
Chant to Hey Job. I have a feeling he's probably like, dude, you got to do better.
Well, I was going to say, also as well, I'm sure Paul McCartney will be very unhappy as well. And I'm sure his lawyers will have something about copywriting as well, because they're changing the words there.
Paul McCartney's not going after Borussia for that. Please, you have to go after nearly every English team. They always sing that song after games.
They do, yeah. And then the other one as well, this is going to be the actual interesting game, which will determine the outcome of this group. You've got RB Salzburg against Al Hilal.
This matchup.
Yes.
I love this matchup.
Yes, because Al Hilal were a good outfit. Again, they drew against Real. They probably did get a bit lucky because Real didn't score a penalty against them as well. Salzburg against Pachuca, obviously they beat them 2-1. So I don't think they're going to dominate here. I think again, weather factor here as well. Al Hilal they are mobile. They can do the job here. So again, if they get a result,
I think Hilal wins this one. I actually think this is a Hilal win.
I don't think
with
Salzburg
that they stamp their ticket because that should be enough for them to get through.
It depends on the Real Pachuca game, but yes, if they win, they should be in a good position. However, and then you've got Salzburg against Madrid, and you'd expect Real Madrid to beat Salzburg. So yes, so that we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, I agree. I think Al Hilal walk away with points here, either 1 or 3 here, but I don't think they're going to lose this one. So yeah. And then the final game of the match day, which we have, is also going to be Man City
versus Al Ain. And I hate to say it, but Al Ain does not look. They're not like Al Hilal. They don't have that same core quality on their side. I think Man City's going to beat them up.
Yeah, Man City will roast them as well. Yeah, I think so.
Because the late kickoff, right? So that it'll be marginally cooler. I think all the factors are definitely playing in for a Man City win here.
Yeah, I agree. Super. Well, Qooligan, that has caught us up for what is basically 3 match days, the last 2, the look back, and then obviously looking into today. So I think that sort of, takes us up to time as well, which has been fantastic. So now that we're getting back into the rhythm as well. So just a quick sort of recap and just looking at some of the groups as well. I mean, if we just want to look, looking at Group A, you've got Palmeiras and Inter, obviously played 2 games and both sitting on 4 points as well. Porto are going to have to sort of pull out a sort of result.
They need some magic. They need some Portuguese magic.
Yeah, and they'll be playing against Al Ali, I believe. Is that right? So they'll be playing. Yeah,
the Palmeiras Inter match is a spicy one.
Again, as we've said, you're going to say, well, that's spicy. Also, they just have to both draw, and they're both good as well, so that should be fine. Looking through Group B,
Palmeiras won't play that way.
I don't think so. I think they'll go for it. Yeah. Group B, obviously, I think this is actually a tight one as well, because then Botafogo, PSG, and Atletico are sitting sort of all of the 3 of them can qualify as well. So hopefully Botafogo managed to get through.
I gotta say, I think Seattle is going to give PSG a hard time.
In
the sense that they're going to come out. And they're going to come out and they are going to try and hit them, body them, do everything within their tolerance level. Within the referee's tolerance level to throw them off their game. Will they succeed? No, I think PSG will still win. But
they'll give them a game. But
they've got too much pride in their playing in front of their home fans.
Yeah, but they've also been really terrible this season as well, generally in the MLS, and they've lost both games as well.
But how much skill do you need to hack someone in the ankle?
Well, I mean, go and speak with Sergio Ramos and the rest of the Monterrey teams. They'll tell you. Bayern, Benfica, Boca. This will be an interesting one. So you're basically going to have now this final game. All depends on Boca against Benfica. No, sorry, Boca against Auckland. Right? You'd expect Boca to obviously put a whole bunch of goals against Auckland. So this game, and then you'd expect Bayern to beat Benfica. The question then is just looking at the goal difference as well. Benfica have got +6. And Boca have got -1, so they're going to need to win at least 7, probably 6, assuming Bayern beat them as well. So they've got the Boca fans are going to have to really dig in there and score some goals. Group D,
but it's exactly that type of necessary offense.
Yeah,
that's going to leave Pachuca exposed in the back for Auckland to get their 1 goal.
Yes, sorry, Pachuca at the back. This is the. Okay. And then just looking at Group D, Flamengo, Chelsea, Tunis. Chelsea, although they lost and Tunis won, and then obviously they'll play each other. So you'd expect, again, I don't have huge amounts of faith right now in Chelsea as well. So you never know. Tunis could have a shock. And if there is a shock upset, that could tumble Chelsea up. But Flamengo are obviously through and comfortable. Group E, River Plate leading with Inter on 4 points, and then Monterrey and the Red Diamonds are out, unfortunately, as well. So you're going to have to see, obviously, what happens there. You think probably Inter and River should probably be able to sort of get through comfortably. Group F, this one is still open as well. I think, have we got Sundowners now are going to play against Sundowners still have to play, is it Fluminense?
Yeah, they play Fluminense.
They play Fluminense as well. So
they play Fluminense, and I think, it's a critical one because Obviously, they beat Ulsan. I think everybody's going to beat Ulsan.
Yeah, everyone has done that.
They'll need to
do something
because of that tie that Fluminense had with Borussia. That gives them that 1 point edge. So Mamelodi never play defensively. That's not their style. They are attacking
African champions,
all the time.
South African champions. They'll expect to, Group G, I think obviously City, Juventus as well. I think this one's pretty locked up as well, done and dusted. I don't expect any shocks there. Group H is still interesting as well. Again, it'll depend on today's games, of course. But the question is you'd expect Real to go through, but is it Al Hilal or Salzburg who take that second spot? And then we'll start looking into seeing how.
I'm going with Hilal.
I don't disagree with you on that one as well. Wonderful. Qooligan. Well, I think that's caught us up as well. Obviously, we'll be back again tomorrow, obviously having watched the games and see the results. And again, we'll get a better idea of how sort of the groups are starting to shape up and the knockout phases come together. So until then, Qooligan, thank you as always, and more tomorrow.
Better. Peace.